Alan Keane, good morning. You're very welcome to the changing room. It's been a topsy-turvy 24 hours for all the football fans around the world. I'm sure, like the rest of us, you've been watching with a keen eye as the European Super League scandal has unfolded.
Yeah, it's been a mental 24 hours. When the news broke yesterday, it was great. You had Roy Keane in studio as well, which was brilliant. We all heard, anyone that's seen the game would have heard his thoughts and stuff. And Gary Neville, I thought, was excellent in his view as well. And it's just madness. It's just basically the top clubs want to get richer and they're leaving behind all the clubs. It just shows that football now is about money.
Yeah, 100%. I suppose I know we usually focus so much on Irish football. We would have to touch on this. It's such a big story. And for the sake of kind of keeping fairness, again, I'm 100% against it. Is there any pros that can be seen to this whole situation, or is it just completely ridiculous?
It's hard to know. I was looking at Sky Sports this morning. They were trying to dissect where the pros and where the cons are, and they said, oh, well, for the money wise and the commercial side and what it brings, but fans are coming out saying that they're going to boycott the games. So without fans, football is non-existent. You know, like you look how difficult it is without fans in the League of Ireland at the minute and around the world. It's not the same, and it just shows investments, clubs that are heavily invested by foreign owners. There's only one thing in mind: they want a quick return for their money. And obviously, there's money being pumped in. JP Morgan is going to be the sponsor of it. So that's just money globally. But you got to remember, there's only say for instance, Man United. There's only say 80,000 fans in England, but go around all the world, there's probably millions. So they're thinking, how can we promote our brand better? And what better way than a Super League? So the only thing I can think of is just money. And do you want to see United playing the same teams over and over? The Champions League is great because you have minnows getting qualifying that haven't qualified, and they're playing it, knocking on beating giants like Barcelona or Man United or Liverpool. You look at Dundalk, for example, qualifying for the Europa League. They could qualify for the Champions League. Now that's gone. You can't qualify for and you have teams in that Super League that never won the competition. So how would they call the super team? It's just greed. It's just greed.
I'm going to play devil's advocate from a purely conversational point of view, Alan. Can you see us all? I know I've seen some mad stuff this morning of people saying they're going picking new teams to support. Maybe that might be a bit far-fetched. We all know at times how fickle sports can be, especially football. We could be slagging a player 1 minute, we're singing his name the next minute. Is this something that's going to happen? And are we all going to be stuck? Not stuck. Are we all going to be glued watching it come next year, come Wednesday night, when the people who have said, I'm boycotting it, I won't watch them again? Will that happen, or will we be sucked back to the TV screens? If, let's say, Man United are playing PSG or Liverpool are playing Barcelona, is it too hard to turn down?
You know yourself, Mark, everyone's going to be glued to it. Everyone's going to be glued. Me, I will be included. It's just that it's not right. It's not right. It leaves all the other teams behind, and it's just not right. But of course, everyone's going to glue in, Man United or Liverpool playing Barcelona. And you're going to see the top teams. But again, they can do all the protesting they want. They're not going to turn to games. But these clubs, these are big clubs with big money. They possibly could probably do without. They go, sure, look, they might go 2 or 3 weeks without complaining. But eventually, like what you said, they're going to come in. Everyone's going to throw their eye over it. And then a year's time, all will be forgotten about. This is a great, probably, Super League, But it's going to be interesting to see, are the leagues, UEFA, and all these, they announced, they said that they're going to fine them. They're not going to let them play international football. I don't think these big teams just set this up and didn't think about that. So I think it's going to come to a compromise. They're going to have some sort of compromise. I think the EFL as well has come out and said it's not. They're not going to allow them compete the FA Cup and all that. Do you think these big super teams want to be competing in the FA Cup against the likes of Yeovil Town, or when they could be playing Real Madrid on a Wednesday? So as I said, it's a business nowadays, football. It's not nothing else, and it's gone that way, unfortunately.
Would people be as outraged if, obviously, we've heard that there's going to be 15 founder member teams, and then there'll be 5 places up for grabs each year. I think what's really annoying people is that those 15 teams can't be relegated from the competition, from what I understand. So they're on the pig's back, whether they play well or they play bad. Once those teams are in, they're in. Would people have as much of a problem if all 20 teams that were participating in that league, that any of them could get relegated?
Yeah, but where did they get relegated to, Mark?
Yeah.
So it's basically what they're doing is these 15 founder teams are offering 5 teams the chance to make more money for the year. So they're trying to encourage them to do better in their league. But how? Like I seen something like the top 3 teams in each division is going to be split in 2 divisions. The top 3 teams go into a quarterfinal, and the third and fourth, or the fourth and fifth playoff in one of the leagues to go into the other quarterfinal, and the same in the other league. So I don't know what happens if one of them 5 teams that came into it win it out. Do they get kept in, and only 4 places? So look at that. That's all to come out yet. It'll be interesting to see. And what 5 teams do you pick? Do you just go off the 5 leagues and you look at Ajax, a strong tradition in the Champions League, who produce some quality players. What happens? They don't get a chance to play in it. You see PSG, they're going to lose all possibly their top players now, because I presume there's more money for players. It's going to entice players more. So you're going to see, as I said, the top teams get richer and the poor teams get poorer. And it's sad for football, because football is about fans. Fans have invented football. For instance, if Sligo Rovers got taken over by a US billionaire or whatever, and a couple of teams in the league and they decided, here, listen, we're going to break away here with some Scottish teams and Welsh teams, that we're going to come up with this Super League. Without any thought of the fans, they can leave any minute. How would you feel? It's your bread and butter is your home games, your cup games, you're going to the showgrounds. It's just sad to see in football that money is now really taken over, and that's including players. It's all about money. It's not about performances anymore. They're just happy to go to a club where they can get the most money, and it's sad in a way.
Yeah, I read an article this morning, and this could spiral out of control, that teams could end up playing their home games at events in Saudi Arabia, and all these kind of scenarios were thrown at us. And look, there's a lot to be unfolded over the next few days, and I suppose, thankfully, we have none of them trials or tribulations in our league.
Are we going to start on our league now?
I think we leave that conversation for another day. I am keen. I think it's something to be looked at, that one man's trash is another man's treasure, or whatever the phrase is, that there could be a market here for the League of Ireland to swoop in and maybe show the principles that we have in order to pick up a few fans. But we leave that conversation for another day. But it's not only Jose Mourinho who's gone this morning, Alan. It's been another crazy morning in Dundalk, as Shane Keegan and Filippo are officially gone. What is going on, and where do they go next, Keno?
I think the writing was on the wall. We spoke about it a number of times, and Shane Keegan obviously made the decision on was it Friday or whatever, that he was gone, and then Filippo obviously told the players that he was going in a meeting, that he was going after the game regardless of the result on Saturday, and it was inevitable. Really, it was a mess, and you can't have a team for Dundalk who's possibly the biggest budget in the league, 2 points from 5 games, just not good enough. And I think it's important now for Dundalk. I seen Bill Hosier come out with a few lines today that normally you don't really get off him, and he wished the 2 lads the best of luck, and he just said that they're going to take time to appoint a manager, but it's not going to be drain the resources. It's not going to take a month. They're going to be shrewd. I think it's massive. And I seen John Sheridan is linked with it, David Healy, Jared Little. So it's going to be important. I think they have to get the right man in this time. If they go and appoint someone and it's a mess again, whatever the man comes in, if I was a manager going in, I'd have to have control of, I couldn't be having the owner in America controlling what I do and being a puppet. You can't be a puppet. If you're a manager, you're a manager, and the buck stops with you. So the performances are based on your team that you pick, not that someone else's pick, and you're in the firing line. So I think that whoever they appoint has to be, has to be the right man who's strong and, get them back on track, because it is sad to see, like, Dundalk fans, like, they're great fans. I was up there for 6 months and they're so passionate. They remind me a bit of the Sligo Rovers fans. They're so passionate about the team, and it's sad to see a club that has done so well and has put Ireland and League of Ireland on the map in terms of Europa League over the last 5-6 years. So it's disappointing to see. And also I did see that Bill had the last appointment before he appointed Filippo, he had offered Robbie Keane the job. So it would be interesting to see, would Robbie Keane go in? Is that the right appointment? I don't think so. Again, that would be just a face. But like, you have Jim Magilton there now. He'll do the process. He's obviously heavy links with David Healy and Jared Little. So obviously you'd need a pro license. They're not going to go for a fella that doesn't have a pro license. So
is it a poison chalice, Alan, or is that job a great opportunity? Because if you look at the talent there, it's just going to take a little bit of tweaking, and you've all the talent in that dressing room to turn it around.
With Mark, whoever lands that job is absolutely buzzing. The quality of players that they have international players in their side. They have some quality players. It's like playing fantasy football, where you're playing with the lower leagues. Next thing you get offered the big job, and you think you're the bee's knees. This is unbelievable. The squad they have: McElhinney, Chris Shields, Andy Boyle. They have Pat Hoban, David McMillan, Michael Duffy. Like, Jesus Christ, you or I could win it. And there's not much management to that team because they're pros. But again, if it's left and it's not influenced by outer people, they have to. That's what I'm saying. A manager has to come in and be a strong person and go, here, I'm doing this team. You look after the finances. You look after this. They
need a man manager in there. They need just someone to come in and get the group back together, get back to basics, and you'd imagine the results will turn.
They just need, they need someone to come in, manage. The players are like Rolls Royces. They know, they manage themselves. That's the type of squad that they are. And I've worked with the lads, and their quality, the stuff that they do off the pitch. And it's sad to see some of the lads, but they need to roll up their sleeves now. And as you said, a man manager come in, sort it all out, get off all this kind of, the papers are now all over them, and they just need to get the results back on the board, keep their head down. And as I said, have a word with Bill over in America and say, here, get off that computer.
You said about results. I mean, looking at the weekend's game, will St. Pat's be looking at that now as 2 points dropped? It's mad, crazy to think anyone would think it's 2 points dropped against Dundalk, considering how they've done and the talent they have. I don't know if you've seen much of the game at the weekend, but was it a fair result, or how did it go?
Yeah, I seen a bit of it, and what I noticed of the whole game, compared to the Dundalk teams that we know for years, they set off and let St. Pat's have the ball, which is normally the other way. We know Pats are a possession-based team. Pats had loads and loads of the ball. Saying that, Pats then were blessed in the last five minutes, 2 goal line clearance from Paddy Barrett. So it's not often you go to the home of Dundalk and you're let have the ball and play. So I fancied Dundalk to win the game. Actually, I backed them to win the game. I thought that they'd get there. And then when I heard that Keegan had left and Filippo was going, I said, "Oh, here goes. It's just another bit of a jigsaw in the circus." So Pats would be probably disappointed in the current situation that they wouldn't have come away with 3 points, especially that they played okay as well.
Chris Forrester back to his best, Keane?
I wouldn't say back to his best, but he's finding his feet again. He obviously went through a bit of a turbulent time, between family matters and other stuff. And sometimes, when you move away and there's quality here, the grass is not always greener, and I suppose things that didn't work out. And it must be very mentally tough when you're the main man in the league for years. You go across the water, everyone's expecting you to do well, and then you come home with the tail between your legs, and you kind of have to nearly get back down that bottom of the ladder and work your way back up. And he is finding his feet again, and it's only good for the league.
We've covered Dundalk, we've covered the Super League. It's on to the main talk. The showgrounds Saturday night, the Northwest Derby, Sligo Rovers, Finn Harps. A tough game. What did you think?
It was. The game was a cagey first half. Poor enough, to be honest with you. Obviously, the pitch didn't help. There was no really chance from either side, apart from Romeo's maybe with the ball over the top. I thought first half, you know, players weren't really, they were feeling each other out, if you know what I mean. It wasn't one that you could fall asleep and wake up and you haven't missed much, you know. But as I was saying, I was watching it with my dad at home, and I just said, you know, who cares the first half? It's all about when the 90 minutes come, what result. If the game came out in the second half and it was the same way and Sligo Rovers nicked it, who cares? It's 3 points. But in fairness, Rovers came out second half and they were very, very good. Could have won it 2 or 3-0. Harps for me didn't really offer much. The only thing I kind of seen them kind of scoring from was the set play. You know, and speaking of set plays, the set plays were atrocious the last night. Absolutely atrocious. And then I turn on PSG and I see Mbappe take a corner and he kicks it straight to some fella, and I was like, Jesus, he's only on a few pound extra, you know. But no, I just thought the game overall put a cagey enough first half. Harps actually tried to play football, which I was shocked at, and delighted for Johnny Kinney to get his first goal. And I just knew when that ball was played back, if that was Romeo that was in that position, they wouldn't have scored. And that's no disrespect to Romeo. No, I thought Romeo was poor enough. I don't think, as like, you know, I still find his feet when his back is to the goal. I don't think he's the player that holds the ball in. I think he's the player that runs beyond. And he has pace to burn. I just think when he has too much time to think, it just becomes a bit complicated. But I was happy to see Johnny Kinney come on, and he chased everything, and he got his just rewards. He'll remember that first goal, albeit not a spectacular one, but delighted for him to get off the mark, and especially to win it 1-0 as well, and Johnny to be the hero.
And what a way to score your first goal. I mean, it's one of the milestones in your career, and to score it by putting in that bit of extra graft and closing down the keeper, I mean, it's a great lesson for him going on now in the future years. Yeah. I think looking at Rovers from the other night, I think certainly from the top half of the pitch, I think goalkeeper, back four, and the front two, we'll get back to them in a second, were immense again. But just in the front areas, there's still maybe a little bit of tweaking to be done, Alan. Is Jordan Gibson on the right wing? Could we see him maybe move centrally? Because it seems that when he starts to play well in the game, Sligo Rovers start to play well.
Yeah, and that was a problem in the first half. We didn't give him the ball enough, and when he did get the ball, it was like, you know, there was you knew he was creating something. And the second half, the way Liam Buckley has, it looks like that when the ball is on the far side, the left side, he gets Jordan Gibson to tuck in to offer that little bit of protection, and then it's like when we win the ball back, boom, he's in a position. It reminds me so much of Cookie with John Dillon. Used to tell him tuck in. So when we win the ball back, John Dillon is now in a free position. You know, he's actually covering space rather than marking a man. So he's nearly forcing them to go wide rather than play through the centre. So you could see the last night, Gibson picked up the ball a lot along the centre circle, and his feet work, and he took on players. And it's so hard as a defender when there's a player running at you at pace, and the form that he's been in. And I thought himself and Walter were excellent.
Yeah,
Walter was superb. I thought, like, he's finding his feet. He looks like he's really settling in now. And two boys are, they just need that kind of front man that will score them. The supply. I know Walter got his goal the week previous. I still think he can add a bit more to it. And that will come. But Gibson, himself and Gibson were very good.
Yeah, just to say, Johnny certainly strikes me. He's a great young lad. He certainly strikes me as a confidence player. And you can only see him starting in Dalymount tomorrow night. I know we look at the fixtures later on, but he's after scoring in the Northwest Derby. You can just see him shooting from every direction up in Dalymount tomorrow night.
Yeah, I know. You can, but I don't know whether he will start. It'll be interesting, but I think Liam Buckley might stick with the same side. Romeo up top. Romeo does well against balls, as you were saying before up there. It's going to be a tricky game, but I think he might start and bring on Johnny again. Who's to know? But I think he might do that. Johnny's a great to come off the bench, and he, as you said, he's full of confidence now. Yeah. He was so, when he came on, I was so delighted because he chased down. There's nothing worse than chasing down the lost cause, and the keeper does. I thought the keeper was going to do a drag back, but I was like, Johnny's going to get him. He was just so quick, but yeah, it's first of many anyway for Johnny, no doubt.
I think what we've listened to the first couple of weeks of the season, there's been a lot of praise for, and rightly so, John Mahon, Gary Buckley, McCourt, Horgan, all been unbelievable. Greg Bolger's come in for massive praise. But someone we haven't talked about as much this year, who I thought was absolutely phenomenal at the weekend, was Niall Moran, Keane. I thought at times some of his footwork was brilliant. And I suppose a couple of the signings come in this year, we haven't talked that much about him. Just how good can Niall Moran be?
He's good, Mark. He absolutely reads the game so well. He doesn't do he doesn't get the goals that you normally see him, midfielder getting to get the praise, like, Bulger very vocal and stuff like that. But I always thought his best position, Niall Moran, is where he's playing at the minute. As fans, you'll always see the Gibsons, you'll see Walter, you'll see, Romeo, Johnny Kenny, all them getting the goals, maybe Horgan and McCourt going up and down because it's a bit of flair. But you don't see the passes being cut out into the front man. You don't see, the filling of space to stop another player getting on it. And that's what Niall Moran is so good at. He reads the game so well. Like, watching him, I think it was in his first season, it was the last game against Shamrock Rovers at home. He was exceptional then. And he's carried that on now throughout his career. And he's just, I think himself and Bulger, there's not a lot getting past them. And then when you have to get past them, you have Mahon and Buckley who have struck up a great partnership. But the other night as well, Mark, I think Ed McGinty commanded the box, and that is so good for defenders and your midfielders. When you have confidence in your keeper behind you, there was 2 balls that I think Finn Harps launched into the box, and I was like, is he coming for these? He better get these. And he can, and not a bother, And I think he's, like, and you're talking, you have McGinty, Moran, you have Johnny Kenny, John Mahon. That's what, 4 or 5 lads that come through the academy. That's absolutely, that were on the pitch the last night, which is absolutely superb. It's great to have. And not only, they're not just on it giving a run, they're now first team players. They're now established players like John Mahon, McGinty. They've how many league games under the belt already? Superb, like. But the future is good, for especially when you have, Niall Moran is only 21, 22, So and as I said, he always goes under the radar because he doesn't score the goals, he doesn't do anything. But the amount of work, you ask any defenders that are playing behind him, say he's class. Yeah, and I think credit to Robbie McCourt as well, because in the dying moments of that game, there was a chance they nearly snuck in at the back post. A lesser defender would have let him in, and it's all rosy now. It would have been an absolute disaster to concede 2 late goals in 2 weeks against our 2 biggest rivals. We still would have been unbeaten, but to take them 3 points on Saturday was immense. It looked like all the results were going our way, Keano. Shamrock Rovers, again, a late goal at home to Longford. It's what good teams do. I don't know if you've seen any of the game, but again, a big 3 points for them. Yeah, I watched clips of the game, and I know people's opinions might be different on this, but how has Roberto Lopez not got sent off but got a yellow card? Yeah, it beggars belief. A penalty's given, your man is through on goal. I didn't see a covering defender coming across because he was inside the 6-yard box. So how, if it's a penalty, how is it not a red card? Because it is a goal scoring opportunity. And if it's, if it's a penalty and a yellow card, I don't see how the referee has given that. So that would have changed the game massively. And all fair dues to Longford. I thought Longford were going to get tanked 3 or 4-0. Yeah. And they went up there, and again, it was a soft old goal that they lost it. They'd be sick because it was a strike from the edge of the box by Sean Gannon, and it took a deflection. So it was tough on them. But the game could have been a lot different if Roberto Lopez had got sent off. But saying that, Shams did dominate the game, but Longford, fair dues to them. They have some, as you've seen them against Rovers the last day, they've good heart and good desire, but the quality, probably they just lack a bit of quality. Yeah, there's obviously be crazy games as the season goes on. It doesn't look like anyone's going to be taking too many hammerings this year because people would have been skeptical how Longford were going to do. Nobody wants to play against Longford now. We've seen how dogged they are, and they run and they run and they run. Obviously, we're going to move on to the next game, which is Derry and Drogheda. And I know you're a big fan of what Tim Clancy is doing at Drogheda.
But a massive point for Derry at the weekend, Keane, because if they lost, I think Mr. Devine could have been looking over his shoulder.
Yeah, massive, especially after they get beat midweek by Shams, and obviously that wonder goal by Graham Burke. Yeah. But Drogheda done well again, but Pats needed that, and it's a big week coming up for them now, with Derry. And I think Declan Devine, if he doesn't get, a couple of points in these games, he could be gone, and that's unfortunate. That's how mad football is. And you look at go back to Rovers. You look at last year. If the league had continued on, would Liam Buckley now be in charge? If the results had gone, the way. So that's how fickle football is. And I think Declan Devine probably just needs this break. He needs a break, and he needs a win. And I think once they get that win and under the belt, they're a good side, Derry. There's no taking away from it. I think Rovers host them now next Saturday night, isn't it? So
Saturday night, yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be a big one, and it's a big week for Rovers as well. Away to Bows and home Derry. Football can change it within a week. That's how mad it is. But I fancy them to take Derry at home anyway. But Derry, Declan Devine, he's one of the good lads, within the league, and it'd be very, very harsh to see if he did get the sack. I just think they need to stick with him. They had a bit of change up there, so I just think they've lost a few players, and I just think that they need to stick with him, and they get a few players back from injury.
And finally, Bohemians with another away win. They seem to be kind of picking up the form just a little bit. A good win for them down in Waterford the weekend.
Yeah, free kick. Keeper made a great save at the post and came out, finished by Rob Cornwell. They done all right. Yeah, they're just kind of, they're not the Bows that we know, but again, you don't want to be peaking too soon. And they have a good squad as well. I've backed them to be challenging with Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk, and I still think that'll be the way. I still think Dundalk come on a run, but I think Bows, if they get into the groove and get on a run, they'd be a good side. I think the Dublin Derby is coming up as well on Friday night, so a big week for them as well, because they could be out of the league come. If Rovers go and beat them and Shams go and beat them, that could be them gone this early in the season. But they still have quality players there, and I still can see them challenging, albeit with the results this week.
Yeah, it's a crazy league. I mean, 3 wins on the trot, and you have a title challenge. Yeah. You lose 3 matches, and you're looking at the first division next year. It's crazy. I'm just looking at the table here in front of me, Alan, and are we starting to now see it taking shape of what we may come to expect? Obviously, you've got Shamrock Rovers, St. Pat's, and Sligo at the top. As you said, you would expect maybe Dundalk to put a run together at some stage. You did say to me at the start it would take 5-6 weeks for it to start to take a little bit of form.
Yeah, definitely. You always every season 5 or 6 weeks, and you'll always have one team that'll have a bad dip. You'll always have a team that'll go on a mad run. But I've no doubt about it. The teams that are there in the top 3 will be in and around the top 4 this year, top 5. Apart from Dundalk, I think, which Dundalk will come with a run. I think once they get their house in order, you expect them to join the pack. Apart from the rest, you might have Drogheda knocking about on the fringes, but we don't know about HARPS. Are HARPS going to stay up there? On the performances the last night, I don't know, their luck might have run out, but 5 or 6 games, teams start to settle. I've looked at a lot of the games now this year, and I don't see many teams that you'd fear, and that's including Shamrock Rovers. Shamrock Rovers are not playing great. They're knowing how to win the games. They've got late goals now in the last couple of weeks, and they're top of the table. And I'm sure Stephen Bradley would be like, "How are we top of the table? We're not even playing great." So if you look at the how much that late goal meant to them the last night, Sligo Rovers are nearly top with St. Pat's. Shams were 3rd or 4th, and then next thing come along, score a late goal, they go top. That's how mad, as you said there, the league is. But I definitely think the way that the table is now, them teams are going to be thereabouts come the mix, depending on Dundalk as well, I think.
And have you any kind of inkling on maybe who might struggle as the season goes on? Because again, as we spoke and we said maybe Longford will run a struggle. They look like they're going to run all day. How many points they're going to pick up playing that way is the next question. Derry are rooted to the bottom of the table at the minute. You'd expect them to rise. It's actually impossible to call.
It is, but I do think Longford, Waterford. I think Longford, yeah, they can run all day and all that, but eventually, as I said, 5 or 6 games in, the honeymoon period starts coming over and it starts getting down to, the nitty gritty. And I just think they'll get turned over by teams, and as the team starts settling down and the quality starts getting better, I think that's where they get punished. Waterford, I think, will be there. Derry City, yeah, you'd like to see them pop up, but from when you're down there, it's so hard. If you don't start picking up results quickly, it is so hard to get out of that rut. And I found that in 2015. We stayed up with the second last game of the season with, and we had some side, we had some team, and everyone was saying, "Oh, you'd be grand." But the games start going, ticking away, and you're like, "Oh crap!" The teams ahead of you are starting to pull away. Yeah. So thankfully, for the likes of Derry, they're looking there. They're down there with Dundalk, so the faster they started getting results, you'd imagine Dundalk could take off up the table, and then they're, if you're 5 or 6 points behind Longford and Waterford in this league, it is a lot, because it's a small, the games come thick and fast. And I think there's a break coming up now on the 28th of May, so it'll either be a good one for Declan Devine or it'll be a bad one, because they could go on a run now and then it'd be a break. So it'll be interesting. I think Longford and Waterford would be the pick of the bunch down there. I think I can't see, I think Drogheda will be all right. The Harps will be okay, I think. They'll probably be flirting down around there for a bit, but yeah, I think I still stick with my guns when I say Longford and Waterford.
Yeah, it's crazy when you speak about, a couple of games from relegation. I think that was Limerick was that game in 2015, I think. Yeah. We were only after winning leagues and cups, and you look at Dundalk now, and over the years you look at like Drogheda teams, and it's just it's a crazy league that you can be so dominant in such a short period of time, and literally it can just all go downhill so fast.
Yeah, but that's what the 9 months do. You have players, you have such a turnover of players every year. I remember that 2015 we had what was it? We had a heap of new players come in, and it is difficult. Like, you look at Shamrock Rovers, prime example this year. They've kept a lot of their players, apart from losing Jack Byrne and Aaron McAniff and stuff. And there's no, Sligo Rovers the same. They've kept a lot of their players. They've added a few quality signings, and they have a good core there. And now they're pushing on where they left off. When you make, 10 or 11 changes to a side, it's hard to go, especially in this league, because the games come thick and fast. 3 games in 7-8 days this week, so players don't have a chance, and some of them players are gone in 9 months. So it's a tough league, as you said. Back in the day, Drogheda challenging for us for the league, and next thing I think they're in the relegation battle the following year. Like, so it is mad. Would you ever see that in any other league? I don't think so.
It's the greatest league in the world.
Yeah, that's right.
We've a double week this week, Keane. We're going to focus on tomorrow night's fixtures. I have to say that yourself and Mark Rossiter, with your predictions, have been pretty good since the season has started. Poor Wezzo isn't having the same luck, but
Gary Rogers had a terrible time as well.
Gary had an awful time. I didn't even text him.
That's goalkeepers for you. That's goalkeepers.
I said I'd leave him be. He didn't have a great week that week.
As for Wes, he went for a 1-1 draw yesterday.
He's more than football this morning, poor old Wesley. Draw the Shams.
I can see a draw in this game, Mark. I think Drogheda at home. Shams aren't at their best. I think I'll go for a draw. I think Tim, we'll have them up for it. I go for a Pats win here. Just
Longford and Harps. There'll be a few yellows.
Harps. I think Harps. I'll have to go with Harps here. Just for speaking of they're a big physical side. They're playing okay. Yeah. I just think the experience of the Premier League will stand them.
Derry and Dundalk. That's a huge game.
It's a huge game. Absolutely huge. And it's it's who's in charge. It's just a hard one. It's in the Brandywell. I thought Derry done all right against Shams the last night. But you know what? I'm going to go with a Dundalk win here.
Okay, away a win. And Bows and Sligo in Dalymount tomorrow night.
I'm gonna get killed, Mark.
Oh, don't. My battery's dying.
I just feel, you know, we've done really well in the last, and I hope I'm wrong. But I just think I can maybe see Bohs win it. You know, I just think I fancy us to beat Derry at the weekend, but I just feel Bohs will at home are very good, and I think they might just nick it.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game again. Massive games all around. Alan, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll look forward to speaking with you in the next couple of weeks.
No bother, Mark, at all. Thanks for having me.
EJMenswear.com. Shop Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger, Farah. EJMenswear.com. Shop Ralph Lauren, Ted Baker, Gaunt. EJMenswear.com. Shop Lyle and Scott, G-Star, Superdry. Shop top brands. Shop Irish owned. Shop EJMenswear.com.